All right, choombs, I know I talk about monster catchers a lot on this channel, and it's not something I really mean to do. It's not something that I'm going out of my way to do, except for in this video. I'm always going to be someone who highlights the work of other creators on this channel, especially when it comes to creators that I've personally watched and supported for a long time. I've talked about it before on the channel. I grew up playing Pokemon. We all know this. I'm kind of like a Pokemon guy on the side. My secret identity is a Pokemon YouTuber, okay? But one of the YouTubers that I grew up watching and kind of fell off from watching, aDrive, is creating his own monster catching game alongside a really talented team and another Pokemon YouTuber, Shady Penguin. If you don't know, aDrive a couple years ago now, I believe, released his own card game called Elestrals. It was essentially kind of a Pokemon clone. I don't know how else to describe it, but not in a negative way. It wasn't a Pokemon clone where it's very obviously copying and trying to cash in on the hype around Pokemon. Elestrals from the very beginning was very obviously its own thing. It had its own themes, it had unique designs, it had way different mechanics as even just a card game. Its biggest thing to me that always stood out was that this entire experiment was themed around mythology, and I just think that's so cool. The ancient Greek mythology is probably one of my favorite ideologies on the planet, and I think it's just such an untapped market. Yes, we have things like Percy Jackson and a bunch of different IPs that take advantage of Greek mythology, but there's just so much there. And I've never bought in any Elestral packs, but I've seen them. I've watched people kind of like rip the packs open and pull cards and play the game, and I thought it always looked really cool and kind of really hoped that eventually aDrive would make a game. However, I did not expect him to launch a Kickstarter earlier this year and absolutely blow it out of the ballpark. I'm recording this when there's about 51 hours left to go for the pledge. Currently, there's 8.6 thousand pledgers, myself being one of them. And so far, out of the goal for 250,000, which was the goal for the game to be made, Elestrals Awakened has raised $1.1 million. Firstly, I just have to give aDrive, Shady Penguin, and the entire team at Elestrals a major round of applause here, because that's literally insane. I think it's the most backed game on Kickstarter. I think it's the 2025 most funded indie game. And I believe that when he first made the Elestral cards, that was also kickstarted. Now, if you are someone who regularly watches Pokemon videos, you've probably seen a ton of Pokemon YouTubers push this game as a sponsor segment. Now, I have my own kind of gripes with sponsor segments. There's a reason that I have yet to have one on the channel, but this would be a game that I would 100% do it for. So, aDrive or Shady Penguin, if you're somehow watching this, hit your boy. I'm such a fucking shill, man. I'm so sorry. But in all seriousness, it's always hard when YouTubers start pushing games, right? Think of, you know what? I'm not going to come up with any examples in case people want to sponsor me in the future, but you already probably have some in mind from me just talking about it. So you never know if these games are going to be good or if they're just kind of bad and just getting sponsored. But as someone who watched a ton of videos on it, someone who's watched people play it, who's watched aDrive's videos on it, who's watched people critique it, personally, I think this game looks absolutely phenomenal. Elestral Awakens, when it releases, hopefully in 2026, will be getting a Steam and a Nintendo Switch version. Now, we don't know if that means a Nintendo Switch 2 version. It's probably just going to be a Switch version and you can play it on both. But the fact that this game is coming to Steam is awesome. I think that's so great, and I've said it ever since I was a little kid that Pokemon needed to expand off of Nintendo consoles, and it would be even better. Obviously, that's never going to fucking happen, but you'll be able to catch and evolve your Elestrals and uncover a narrative that's super central on friendship and just an ideology of the great beyond. And I just think that's so cool. There's gods, there's titans, there's elemental forces that all of the creatures are kind of based on. There's different modes that are being put into the game. You're able to find shinies. Once you beat the game, you'll be able to create a new save file with basically a Nuzlocke and like an extreme Nuzlocke mode just built into the game. You'll be able to have multiple save files, which is such a huge fucking thing, by the way. There's going to be permadeath, randomizer, sleep run, level cap, bond limit. And I believe when you start the game, it said that you'll basically have one of 8 choices to choose from from the start, which is just so good. You'll be able to choose one, basically, Elestral from each element. We have earth, fire, water, thunder, wind, frost, solar, and lunar. They've said multiple times throughout this project that there's been absolutely no AI made during this or used doing this. And again, as someone who is very much a supporter of just basic human beings, that's such a W in terms of like the art and the designs. Obviously, games have AI built into them, but that's not important. You'll be able to channel empowerments through your bonds with the spirits and the Elestrals. You'll be able to ascend, which is the evolution in this game, and there are even Nexus transformations of Elestrals. Essentially, it changes the form and unlocks new powers and abilities. There's also going to be awakened forms, which it's an original transcendent state of a spirit or an Elestral. So I kind of think of this as like a primal evolution for a Pokemon, right? Like think of Primal, Groudon, or Kyogre. This is kind of their own version, but looks way cooler. Sorry, I'm like reading off of the Kickstarter here just because I think it's so great. One of my favorite features that I think a lot of people really jumped on the bandwagon for this feature are Stellar Elestrals. This is basically your shiny Pokemon for this game. However, it's not just unique in its design. These Stellar Elestrals are more rare, obviously. They're alternative colors, but they also change encounters. Like the way you encounter them is different. It changes the move set and how strong they are. It says on the Kickstarter that they're stronger than the standard counterparts. They possess an additional spirit core that grants them a second combat trait, basically making them a double typing or like adding a different type from the base, which is just so fucking cool, man. Like, I'm sorry, I'm geeking out because all of the things that seem to be in this Kickstarter promise are things that so many people have wanted from Pokemon games for fucking years, man. And I'm just really excited for this. I mean, there's just so much love poured into this. The map looks fantastic. This like chibi 2.5D art style with 3D backgrounds is just so good. I'm really excited to see how Elestral Awakens lands. If you are someone who finds everything I said in this video a little bit interesting, go ahead and check it out in the description. I'm going to leave aDrive's video talking about the alpha as well as the Kickstarter. Even if the pledge is over, you'll still be able to go and look through it. I should have this video up before the 7th. I think I'm going to have this video up on the 6th. So if you haven't pledged already and you want to, I believe by pledging $25, you automatically get the game when it releases and access to the alpha. There's different tiers, but I do know that if you do back with $25, you get the game, which is way cheaper than what they're going to probably launch the game for. Again, this video is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by Elestrals Awakened. This is 100% my opinion, and even if it was sponsored, I would still say it's 100% my opinion. Really, I think the only thing that scares me for this game is the narrative and how it's going to run. Otherwise, I can't wait for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Again, aDrive or Shady Penguin, if you want to hook your boy up with a sponsor, I can be bought. Okay, that's a terrible joke. I can't be bought, but I mean, if you want to throw some money my way, I'm not going to complain, but I'm not going to silence my opinions, okay? Seriously, thank you guys so much for all of the support recently. This has been Nate, otherwise known as Wicked, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.